worrying and anxiety cause depression, but worrying and anxiety are also symptoms of depression. So what I want to talk a little bit about is the brain and the brain science, so you can understand that worrying is quite normal. Can you hear my voice feeling a bit nervous? Does it sound like it? Hey? Do I need to get louder? Oh, okay. Is that better? Cool. All right. So we have brain circuits in our brain, in our prefrontal front of our brain, that are actually for thinking. So those circuits organise problem solving, planning, decision making. But those same circuits also organise, they're the same circuits for worrying. So what happens is we have circuits in our brain for protection, to keep us out of danger, which is our limbic region. But those same circuits end up causing anxiety. So anxiety and worrying, you could say, is sort of normal for a lot of people. It's a bit like, can you imagine a Ferrari with a super great engine? The ride is smooth, it's fast, it's good. But it's a gas guzzler. So there's the good and the bad of the things that go on in our brain. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So these circuits for planning and safety are the circuits for worrying and anxiety. So I want to help you guys, for people that are familiar with anxiety, to be able to sort of short circuit the circuits, bring them down to calm the body and to calm the system down. So sometimes when you're anxious, and you're worrying in your mind and you're having a conversation in your head and you're paying attention to a lot of those things that are going on in your head, your thoughts, catch yourself at doing that. Just stop and take a deep breath. Did you know that when you take a deep breath, big breath in, slow breath out, that actual slow breath out down regulates that part of our brain that goes into panic. So it actually works. It's not just an airy-fairy hippie technique. It's a technique that actually works. So there's a difference between fear and anxiety. Let's talk about it. So imagine you're on the edge of a bush or a paddock somewhere and you hear a rustle in the grass. If you see a yellow-bellied black snake, that's fear. If you imagine a snake, that's anxiety. So the thing is, guess what? Whether you see it, whether you imagine it, the same brain circuits activate. So what happens in that survival protection part of your brain goes into activation. So what you want to do then is calm it down. Because what happens the moment it activates, all these stress response occurs, there's a whole bunch of cortisol hormones that allow you to respond to what is called a danger. So if you see a snake, you got to run. Pick up the child and run. But if you imagine a snake, same thing's happening. The body's responding like it's real. So what we need to do is start to be aware of these thoughts that we're having in our mind, start to notice these feelings that are happening in our body. And what you can do, because remember it's trying to keep you safe, is to just stop. Take a deep breath sometimes. Just breathe in, breathe out. And if you can breathe out for double the time, breathe in for say 3, breathe out for 6, what that does is it actually creates a calming response in your body. It activates part of the parasympathetic nervous system, which means it calms you down. So, So these breathing techniques are quite important to help calm the body down once it's hit to that arousal level. So as, whoops, I've got your name, the wonderful lady from the black dog. It's about skill building, it's about learning some of this information. She pointed out that you go to psychologists to learn skills, to learn some knowledge that you can actually use. Look, I understand anxiety. I suffered for it for 30 odd years until my doctor said to me I had irritable bowel. It's like, what is that? Anxiety, basically. So I had to figure out how to calm my anxiety. I had to figure out how to reduce that stress that was going on in my body. So I know these things work, and I know there's some fabulous techniques out there that can help people. So the thing about anxiety is it's provoked by uncertainty. And the thing about this world is everything's uncertain. It's provoked by uncertainty, it's provoked by possibility. So if we're not in control of something, that part of our brain goes, there's a bit, it's like warning Will Robinson, you know, it's like there's a danger going on inside. So if you're a worrier by nature, then it's a good idea to make some decisions, eliminate all the options, because that's too much uncertainty. Just sort of narrow things down and make a few decisions. Notice what you can control in your life. Because if you can control things, simple things, making a meal, doing things, that down-regulates those circuits that are out of control and makes you feel better. It actually has an impact on your brain. So this prefrontal cortex that I was talking about, it's like the reality machine. It's always running options. So if you're thinking about something, or if you're trying to solve a problem or make a decision, that's what it's there for, to run a whole bunch of scenarios and options to see what's going to work first. So it's really, really useful. But if you've got a whole bunch of negative emotion involved, it turns into worry, and more negative emotion, it turns into anxiety. Okay? So these areas of our brain, we need them. So one of the really useful things is to become aware when your physical body is starting to worry or become anxious. So notice when your chest might be getting tight, or your breathing or your palpitations. Actually notice what's going on in your physical body. Observe your breathing. And as Sasha mentioned with mindfulness, do a bit of grounding. In other words, stop. Take a deep breath. Look out with your eyes. Listen out with your ears. Feel out with your skin and the temperature and your posture. Because the moment you begin to ground and your brain no longer sees danger in the environment, the amygdala, that part of your brain that's going into, I need to protect you, something could go wrong, settles down. So notice when you're stressed or when you're anxious. Begin to notice that and settle it down by taking those deep breaths. Another thing is, if you hug someone, your brain releases oxytocin. Oxytocin settles down that part of your brain, the amygdala, that's going into panic mode. So hey, if you're feeling stressed, ask for a hug. Hug someone. A long hug is really, really useful at just calming the body down. Things like that you can do. Another thing that helps, and we know all this because of brain scans, we can see what's going on in the brain these days. We've got great technology. So we're always trying to calm, if you're anxious, get it out. If you're feeling anxious or suffering from anxiety or you're really stressed, we want to calm that part of your brain down that thinks that something's going to go wrong, there's going to be a disaster. So hugging people works really effectively. Another thing that works really well is just stopping and thinking about what you're feeling. If you think about what you're feeling and you can put that into words like, I'm scared because of, I'm feeling this because of, just using language and words actually calms the brain down. Like, go figure, how useful is that? We put it into words, and then parts of our brain that are going into the stress reaction settle down a bit. So that's a really useful thing. So, I mean, talking to therapists, talking to friends, just saying it out loud to yourself. I'm really worried because I've got to talk in front of 200 people tonight. That's okay, you know, say it out loud. Yeah, so it's very, very important to begin to notice what's going on in your physical body. Don't ignore it, because if you ignore it, that part of your brain thinks there's still possible and imminent danger. So it will keep pumping up that cortisol, those stress response. So stop. Take those breaths. Hug yourself. Now this sounds really funny, but it's called like a butterfly hug. You go like this. Now just some of you Actually do that and notice how that feels. Come on, be courageous. I am. And notice how that feels, the vibration in your body. Close your eyes for a minute, guys. Come on, come on, come on. Don't. Hey, look, I'm up here in front of you all. And just feel that vibration. That vibration in your body is actually calming your brainstem, the limbic region of your body that gets all panicked and aroused. What do we do if we have a baby who's distressed? What do, guys? We pick it up, mothers, and we shake it, don't we? We sort of shake the baby, we shake it, we rock it, we move it. You know, don't we? Sorry, I'm rocking, hey? So I'm rocking the baby now. And we hit, this is like the nappy, you know, the bottom of the baby, the nappy, so we're sort of doing that. Guess what that does? It actually settles the baby down. It works in the limbic area of the brain, deep in the centre of the brain, and it soothes and calms the baby. Rocking. Rocking is really good to settle and calm yourself down. For those of you that have grandmothers, knitting and rocking together, it's like supercharged. So there are these things that we can actually do that actually work, that settle us down and calm down that part of our brain, this limbic area that's gone into protection mode or panic. It's worried that something's going to go wrong. So a bit of rocking, rhyming. Would you believe? Humming. That sound, that humming. What do we do with babies when they're upset? We hum, don't we? Next to their ears, we rock them. These things actually work at a physical level to settle that part of our brain down. Now, maybe we didn't know this 40 years ago. Mothers just did all this. But now, because of technology, what we call fMRI, the way they can study the brain, they know this now. Let's have a look what else I'm going to say here. So Sasha talked about kindness. Kindness is really important, being really kind to yourself. Start to notice when you're saying mean or cruel or unkind things to yourself. And just don't, because that harms and hurts you. Just sort of start to go, hey, that's not very nice. And actually stop picking at yourself, stop criticising yourself. Things like that make a huge difference, a major difference. And we know that, again, because of brain scans. We can see that if we say nice words to ourselves, parts of the brain light up that make us feel good. So these things actually work. Taking a bit of time out from your busy day to just sit down and meditate. Not everyone's into meditation, and that's okay. Cute noise. But the purpose of meditation is really to just stop and to ground in your senses. We're not supposed to live on a cushion with our legs and arms crossed. The purpose of meditation is to develop a state of awareness which is calm and quiet, so you can actually live your day in calm and quietness. So if you haven't got 5 or 10 minutes, and I believe you all have, because you know how many minutes you have in a day? 1,440. If you sleep 8 hours, it's 480 minutes. You still have 960 minutes left. I reckon everyone's got 10 minutes to just sit and spend a bit of time just quietening themselves. So then the idea of the meditation is to ground into the senses, like mindfulness, like Sasha was talking about, putting your attention into what you can see, what you can hear, what you can smell, what you can taste, what you can feel. Because if you're not in your body, in your senses, you can be just in your head, in your mind. Just thinking. So when you catch yourself just stuck in that headspace, go back into your body. Use your ears, your eyes, your nose. Start grounding. I think there's some people in this audience that would have heard about Mark Twain. In 2010, Mark Twain said, I am an old person. His actual words were, I'll read them out if I've got them here. I am an old man, I have known many great troubles. Most never happened. Mark Twain suffered from anxiety. Most of the troubles that he knew were troubles in his mind. So, For those of you out there that know anxiety, and I do know anxiety, I know it well, there is wonderful ways that you can calm your body, you can calm your mind, and sometimes you need to talk to someone. Because as the wise Einstein once said, you cannot fix a problem with the same thinking that created it. So talk to a friend, talk to a family member, your doctor, your psychologist. Talk to someone about it. Because remember, if we verbalise it and talk about it, it actually makes our brain feel better. So thank you.